Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You found us on The Map, the Mental Health and Addiction podcast. I'm Kimberly Walsh of Brady's Landing and one of your hosts for the show. My co-hosts, good friends and partners in crime, the amazing Andy Bernstein and the incomparable Chris Perry Long. So, hello, everybody. I see Andy's protected there. That's awesome.
I'm in Wuhan right now.
We can see you're at the wet market.
I'm a little goofy right now. This is my attempt at being silly. So I'm
You
at
are.
Wuhan, but I'm out.
We love it. We love it. We love it.
I've left.
So
You left.
Social distancing.
There you
Social
go.
distancing now.
Struggle there.
There you go. Hold on. This thing off me.
Oh, the glare. Put your hat back on.
I know, right?
The glare. The glare.
Wise guy. All right. I'm back.
We're a little sassy this morning.
All right. What do we got?
Thank you.
So for those of you who are new to the show, who are just joining us, just to let you know, we are, just want to kind of introduce us and you know what's going on and why we do what we do here on this podcast on The Map. Chris Long has been in the industry for many years, dedicating herself to working with families and helping people get into treatment. Andy has been an advocate for changing the landscape of mental health and addiction, both as the producer of Crosscheck Radio with hockey legend Kevin Stevens and through his own experience. As for me, I'm a person in long-term recovery and I operate a sober home for women on the Cape called Brady's Landing. We wanted to create this podcast for people to have a place to go for resources and to hear inspirational stories and kind of change the face of mental health and addiction and reduce the stigma. So without further ado, what have we got? Let's do our check-in, guys. How are you?
We're checked in.
Checked out, really. It's the really the term, right?
It's I know we were talking about this on Wednesday and stuff, but it's just, you know, I think we kind of go through emotions. Like it's just up and down and up and down. And we're in such a rush to get back to life. But why? Because all we do when we're in life is complain about how I wish we had a break. So now we have a break and we want to get back to life. So it's like, I don't know. I'm very confused.
We're never satisfied. We're never satisfied.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Mr. Panda?
I'm confused too. I no, about the COVID. I was, to Chris's point, this has become a political issue, man. It is weird. It is weird. You know, you have 60,000 people dying, right? And the numbers are going up. Well, you know, it makes sense to wear a mask and gloves and, you know, do what they say. Follow the rules, right? Let's live in a society. Let's follow the rules. I didn't say that when I was younger. Now that I'm older, I say follow the rules, right? But then the White House, the administration, not to get political, it's like, all right, well, we got to get our country moving again. Well, yeah, we do, but is it safe to go out right now? That's the question. When the experts are saying it's not safe, or we're still going through it. So then be like, all right, well, I'm going to disregard what my government says. I'm going to disregard the stuff that Trump laid out himself. So
why is the government even making the rules in the first place? You know what I mean? They don't even know what's going on.
Well, not the government, but the CDC, who does. The CDC, you know, Fauci, you know, they do know what's going on, and they do have the intel, and you know, to say we're back just because we feel like being back is not right. So, you know, I think we're going to set ourselves up for a fall, because come the fall, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, they're saying it's going to come back again. So as bad as we want to get the country started again, we're still going through this. And so I am confused, because I'm like, what should I be doing? Yeah. Should I be staying home?
Right.
Following the guidelines?
I mean, we were in the beginning, we were like, oh, we'll stay home. And now like other states, I think they said something like 26 states are opening up. So almost half the country is opening up. And then there are workers in those states saying that they haven't even hit the peak yet of their numbers, yet their economy's opening up. And it's like, you think about this, I'm like, okay, so if, for example, if Texas opens back up, it's a big state, right? And they haven't even hit their peak yet. All we're doing is Texas is a petri dish, and it's
right because those people might come to Boston,
right? Or
and they might be carrying, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Boston's not going to Detroit or wherever because we're staying home.
Right. It's just, I don't know. You just can't because you're going to go
divided.
crazy.
Too much division. So that's weirding me out a little bit. So yesterday was a rough day for me a little bit. I was, I had a hard time, but then, if you go for it, go with it. And I'm blessed. I feel blessed. I, got a great life. And so I'm going to go with that. And when I go with that, I'm cool. If I start to fight it or start to think about it, then I have problems more so than I normally do. So that's my take.
Yep.
Well, I like that. That's a positive spin on it. You know me, I've been touting that since day one. You got it. No matter what, you can't let the fear rule you. You got to stay positive. Find a way to do it because it will take you down and then you'll, domino effect.
So have you guys seen any news about our actual show, mental health and addiction, which really all ties into it? But have you guys had any news out there that has been interesting in the world of mental health and addiction? Anything catch your eye?
So there's another podcast that's happening today at 1. I took a screenshot of it, and it's Massachusetts. It's a panel discussion, I think, or it was last Friday, the 24th, I think. I got to look into it, but they had a panel discussion about, I think they were predicting like what we're going to see as far as Massachusetts mental health and addiction. And when our guest comes on, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with addiction in Massachusetts and how our numbers are spiking and we're not seeing it in our local news.
No, because it's off the radar now. It's off the agenda. It's off the political agenda.
Right. And we've been talking about that, how addiction is going to be taken, the back of the bus as far as priority. And, it's really scary. So I don't know. I mean, I think there are people that are, it's kind of like the short kid trying to get to the front of the line with a basketball team. He's just trying to push to the front of the line to say, hey, we're here.
Pick me.
Yeah.
Pick me.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm scared. I'm very scared. If you watch your Facebook too, a lot of people have been putting the suicide awareness, reshare this post, 2 friends share it, and so on and so forth. I put it on the map page a couple of days ago to share, about suicide, because again, that's something that is going to, I predict, going to, it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, it's inevitable.
All the problems at home are exacerbated. Like the domestic violence is going to go up, child abuse is going to go up. All those things, and then which leads to higher rates of suicide. So absolutely have to pay attention. Yeah.
Yep.
Luckily, I like being at home with my wife. I actually enjoy it. She said, "I'm going to be home till July," right? Because she works at Harvard. And my first reaction was, "Yay!" Like seriously, I was excited.
Great.
I love having her home, but God, I could imagine if you didn't like your spouse or your significant other, and you're holed up with that person. Oh my God.
Did you guys see that meme, the meme that I sent you with the guy who said you are quarantined. You have the choice of A, being quarantined.
Yeah, it was Kanye West. Yeah.
Oh, it looked like him. Yeah, A, being quarantined with your wife and your child, or B, and he goes, B.
Right. So it's it's an interesting time. Actually, our next guest, our first guest, can really speak to a lot of this. She's someone really on the front lines of addiction and mental health, and she works in Plymouth is where really her stomping ground. And there's so much going on down in Plymouth that I don't even know if people know. But Shannon DeMille is going to be our guest. She manages a medication assisted treatment center, but she also is part of PCO Hope, which is a Plymouth County Outreach, which is a wonderful organization that we'd like her to cover as well, to kind of share what's going on. So let's bring her in. Let's bring in Shannon DeMille.
Yeah.
We're going to get you theme song. We're going to get you a theme song, Shannon.
Walking down the street.
Hey! What's going on, friend?
Hello, how are you?
Good. Turn your sound up a little.
Please.
I'm the sound Nazi right now.
So.
Sound police.
Did you put your hearing aids in today, Andy?
Yeah, Chris. Yeah.
Headphones.
Yeah, Chris.
That's better. Yes.
So Shannon used to co-host my show with me, Crosscheck, and I found her a few years ago. I found you at the Plymouth County at the Drug Take Back Day down in Plymouth. We did it at the New Hope Chapel, and Crosscheck was there. We were broadcasting, and we did it live, which was really quite interesting. But Shannon and I talked, and I was like, all right, I like her. So come be on my show, except when I interrupt you be on our show, except when I interrupt you during dinner time. Your husband, Bill, does not like it.
Yes. No. He's like, all right, hang up. Okay, Shannon, because you've done enough. I work 24/7 like most of you do. So
you're the most dedicated person I know. So Shannon, what's going on out there in the world of addiction? Actually, tell us who you are. Give us your brief snapshot of who you are.
Wow, that's a lot to handle. All right. It's early. I still haven't had full coffee yet. So my name is Shannon DeMille. I work as the center manager over at Clean Slate in Plymouth. I've been doing addiction for about 15 years off and on. Each time I have a child, I take some time off. And then somebody calls me and I go back to what I love. And I've been doing it for a long time. I also participate with Plymouth County Outreach as a recovery coach, doing outreach calls. And Plymouth, I sit on the board at PCO Hope, which does the drop-in centers in Plymouth County. So I keep very busy.
We're going to get to talking about the other shows or the other things you work on. But specifically right now, how are you holding up during the COVID-19?
So it's been a rough transition. And I think it's been a rough transition for everybody, personal and, work life, career life. It was really hard for a clinic like Clean Slate to go into all of a sudden, nobody can be in the office and we have to do everything telemed. That was something that no one has ever done before. And it was a huge transition for us. We did it slowly. We slowly kind of, we went from, an A level status. And as everything progressed in the state, we kind of moved on slowly to a status where we're now not seeing patients in the office anymore. It was a lot of fluid transition. It was a little crazy, but we need to keep serving our patients, right? We can't just stop because, we have a pandemic. We need to make changes and figure out how we can see our patients and best, care for them, especially in this moment.
Shannon, I also thank you. I also wanted to introduce you to Kimberly because I actually don't think you met Kimberly. So
hi, Shannon.
Hi, how are you?
It's so good to meet you. I know we're friends on Facebook, but I haven't actually, and I know who you are, but we've never met in person. So glad to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So there's a lot of talk about, methadone and kind of how it's being administered right now. And I'm going to let Chris kind of chime in on that because I know she had thoughts and she always has thoughts. Chris.
Hey, Shannon. So we were talking, I forgot who I was talking with the other day, and like the whole take home thing with Suboxone. I've got a gentleman that is on Sublocade and they're not doing Sublocade, so he's had to go back to Suboxone. But the methadone, they were talking about like how in Boston, they're sending people home with 1 month's methadone doses. And if somebody's on like 115 or 120 a day, that's a lot of methadone.
Yeah. Right now we are still seeing people on their status and weekly and still only giving them those week scripts. It's just not safe. People are struggling with their mental health. There's a lot of things going on right now. Right now, we need to keep the closest care with our patients. We need to make sure we are checking in on them as much as possible and making sure we have enough touches, because let's be real, it is exhausting and scary and lonely right now for a lot of people.
So I was talking with these guys earlier, and Plymouth County had 38 overdoses with 11 fatals. What's going on?
I don't know. They just put out a spike release. I just had an emergency meeting yesterday. I don't know. I mean, I want to say bad batch, but what batch is really good? There is no such thing as a good/bad dash. So I don't really know what's going on.
Go ahead.
How come we're not seeing it in the news?
Great question. I would love to know that as well. When I saw the spike, I took it on my Facebook page and I shoved it to everybody I know, because, the only thing on the news right now is COVID. That's the only thing that matters.
But when the new normal happens and you have, 28 million people are out of work right now?
Something like that.
So you don't think the financial stress and the coping is going to hit the fan? Like when people are going to be like, it's going to pick back up. Don't you think that the next wave of the epidemic is going to happen?
I think so. I do. I really do. People are struggling. Everyone's struggling. And I just think that, we're losing a lot of people. People are getting bored. We got to get a better grip on everybody and make sure everybody knows that, we're here for them, doing Zoom meetings. And I know it's virtual, but it's still connection.
How does Clean Slate do what are some of the things that with Clean Slate doing, the facility you work for, how are they doing medication assisted treatment? How are you engaging with your patients currently?
We are using Zoom, just like here, and we lay eyes on all our patients. If for some reason they don't have accessibility to Wi-Fi or to that kind of technology, we have a disinfected room in our office that you can walk into, and we sit you down and we have you Zoom with our providers. We need to lay eyes on you. It's really important that we see what's going on. You could do a phone call, absolutely, but I don't get that. I don't get to see what's going on. I don't get to see you. So we're just trying to make sure that we're seeing our patients. We're calling them. If they're struggling, we're giving them that extra support.
And you have locations all around the country.
We do. Yep, we do. Some of those sites have been what they're called hibernated. They were not our, really big sites. So we've kind of moved those people into other sites within the state that they're in.
Okay. Now, part two. I don't know, guys, did I miss anything? Chris? Kimberly? Hello?
Sorry. Do you see your patients from your are you in your living room telehealth? Are the counselors are doing telehealth from their living room? Or are they at the facility as well with the patients? You know what I mean?
Right. We're all at the facility. I have my medical receptionist staff, my medical assistant staff, myself, and my providers are at the facility. We are still expecting patients to come in for urine screens. It is a hands-free urine screen situation. So we take the cup and we put it in the bathroom.
How do you do a hands-free urine screen?
I know.
Shoot it out the door.
There's no contact. We are safe. We are behind the glass. We put the cup in the bathroom. We let the patient go in. So it's a safe environment. We're making sure that we're keeping the patients engaged, but we're also keeping them safe.
Got it.
So you don't touch it, but them not so much.
Right. They can touch whatever they want.
Right.
As part of your work, you also are involved with Susan Silva from
I am.
Plymouth County Outreach, PCO Hope. Then you also work with the great Chief Michael Baldieri.
I do. Yeah.
Tell us about that, and how does that work, and kind of how does that coincide with your day job, or does it?
Oh, it all just kind of blends together. So Plymouth County Hope is the nonprofit. We run the drop-in centers in Plymouth and in East Bridgewater. Right now, obviously, they are closed due to the pandemic. So we're just trying to come up with some creative ways to make sure that people are still, taking care of themselves. We're doing a little Facebook 60 seconds, of hope. If you want to jump onto that, you can catch some of my co-workers and board members, kind of making sure that we take care of ourselves, little kind of 60 seconds of just little tidbits. I also work with Plymouth County Outreach, where we do overdose calls. So after 24 hours to 48 hours after an overdose in Plymouth County, a recovery coach does reach out. Right now, we're doing that via phone, again, just to, social distancing. And, just making sure that we can get that person in that moment. If they need help, we can get there and offer them help.
Chris, what say you?
How do you see this going forward? What do you see? Do you see the spike when people are allowed to start coming out, and, we're going to see the spike in alcoholism, obviously, because they've already talked about it. The increase is at like 250% sales in alcohol since, this whole thing has started. But as far as like the whole drugs and mental health, how do you see MAT having a line out the door? Because
medication assisted treatment. Yeah.
Because people can't get into treatment. Now you're going to have insurance loss, job loss, no income, so I know you guys take Mass Health and Medicaid. Do you see that increase? Do you see you guys like blowing out the doors, having to open up more centers? Have you forecasted that?
I do. Yeah, we're seeing, right now, everyone's still a little scared to leave their house. Everyone's, really still trying to isolate. But when they open the state back up and we're allowed to go back out, I think it's going to kind of be a free for all. I think we're going to have a lot of relapse. I think we're going to, and right now what's on the street, obviously with the 11 fatalities in Plymouth County, it's not good. It's not something that our beds are going to be full. I think we're going to be booming pretty soon. And it's really sad.
Plymouth County, we talked about Plymouth County Outreach, or PC, Plymouth County Outreach. Tell us about kind of the work you do. You kind of touched on it, but all the partners that are involved with PCO.
I've never had a better community in my life. It's amazing. Everybody, you need anything, and you reach out to these amazing people who have dedicated their lives to addiction, and you can get anything that you need. Anywhere in the state, we work with all of the law enforcement in Plymouth County, along with just about every agency. Anything we need, you can put a call out. It's the best group of people I've ever worked with.
And they're not going to lock you up, right? If you are suffering, they really, this is kind of the new direction in police work, I guess.
Absolutely. Right.
Not locking people up, right?
It's helping people. Yeah, it's helping people and getting them into treatment. And I mean, if you got a warrant and you did something, prior, it is what it is. But, we're not out there to make sure that you get locked up and get put in jail. We're out there to make sure that we can help you and your family. We don't find the person that maybe have overdosed every single time, but we might find the family that's struggling, and we're offer, we can give them some resources to help them as well.
So it'll be a police officer, and then you or somebody that you work with will go. If somebody's struggling and needs help, you'll go. Is that how it works?
In prior world, yes. New normal, no. We're making phone calls now. But yes, it would be a plainclothes police officer, and someone like myself. And again, we're not coming in smashing down doors. We're coming in, to try to help. We're coming with some sort of mission of helping that person that might be struggling.
Okay.
Shannon, I have a question. How did you originally get into this field? What made you want to be into this addiction and mental health field?
So when I was 19, I applied for a job at this place called High Point that I had never heard of before. And I decided that I was going to do medical billing. And they hired me, and I started learning a lot. And I said, no, I want to help these people. I don't want to sit behind this desk and move this paper anymore. Like, I learned so much from the back end that I wanted to come up with the front end. And then the more I looked into my own family, whether it be aunts, uncles, I said, oh my goodness, that's exactly what's going on in my family. I want to help my family. Looking at my friend, and then I started, going out, looking at my friends and going, oh no, well, I want to help this person. And I know what to do. I know how to help because I work at this place called High Point. And it just kind of went from there. And I found my love of helping people and, trying to get out there and learn as much as I possibly can learn, and just be very empathetic.
You've had a lot of, since I've known you, and you, Chris, Kimberly, you've had a lot. I've had an experience with it, not an overdose, but somebody just walked by. That's okay. He's photobombing us right now. Is that Devlin?
That is Devlin. Yes.
Okay. My question is, you guys have all experienced loss, right? People you've gotten close to. How do you all maintain that boundary of not taking on the downside of those who don't recover? How do you maintain that distance, or do you maintain that distance? I'll throw that out to all y'all.
So I'll go first. So as you guys know, and Shannon, I help families. I work with the families a lot. So I tend to get close to the families as well as their loved ones. And I just lost somebody on Sunday. And it was one of my original moms when I first started this journey. And so those bonds and those relationships, I vowed to myself, because like in 2015 is probably when it was just, people were just dropping like flies, but they were in this outer circle. They weren't in my little core group of my moms. We were in that safe zone. So we weren't really affected by it. We were affected, but we weren't. And then slowly over the years, these moms, this circle of people that were fighting for recovery has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And now it's like this really small group. So, in the last year, I've lost 4 kids to some of these moms. And now we're that small circle, and the kids that have families that have lost is that big circle. And I vowed to myself that I would never grow numb to it, because these kids, my kids that are in recovery, they've lost more kids in their life. My oldest is 31. My next one is 27. They've lost more friends in those short years of their lives than I've lost in a lifetime. So I vowed, and they've kind of, I don't want to say it's like normal, but they've become desensitized to it, and it's become their normal. I mean, I'm not saying that they're cold and uncompassionate. It's just they have that off button, and I don't know. I mean, I mourn. Everybody mourns differently. I mourn for the families. I mourn for the siblings that are left behind, and then I worry about if there's another sibling that is in recovery. How is this going to affect? And then the friends. So it's a process, Andy. It's hard.
Shannon,
I agree.
Yeah, and I want to.
Yeah.
Well, Kimberly.
Ahead,
Yes.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, do we try to, not get so upset? Absolutely, we try not to get upset. But I tell you, every person that I lose, it hits me just the same. It really does. I lost somebody on Wednesday, and it's, it's hard every single time. I try to just make sure he was 26.
There you go. Right.
It's just so sad. Just so sad. Every time it's sad. It doesn't matter anymore. You try not to get attached, to your patients or to, but you just can't. It's just, you just.
It's hard to do. Like I said, I haven't lost anyone. My cousin Todd, who we spoke to, he lost his girlfriend.
We did.
To a fentanyl overdose. But he really, and he was bankrolling her for a long time, but he ended up kind of detaching. So it made it more palatable for him. My own experience, we know the person, you know the person, very vested in helping from a business standpoint, really trying to help that person. And the guy let me down.
Yeah.
Both from a business perspective, he let me down, and personally too. So I had to cut ties from the business because that puts food on my family's table.
Right.
So that's first and foremost. So I'm gonna back away at that point. Your problems. I'm not going to sacrifice my family for your problems. Right. That's for this particular person, because he was playing games. I think he's playing games. So I walked away completely. As a matter of fact, one of the projects I was doing, I was just like, you know what? I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. I went to someone else. I just paying for it because I don't want to deal. Right. That's how I respond. I'm compassionate, but I don't do victim.
You also have to always protect yourself.
Right.
You really do. You have to protect yourself. There's only so much you can do. There's only so far you can push yourself before, you're working harder than that individual. And then you stop and think, I'm working harder. They need to put their part into,
Kimberly, you're nodding your head. What do you say?
It crosses the line over into enabling. If you're too invested and it happens all the time in the sober home. I don't necessarily lose them to death, but you lose them back into, they go out there and, you've spent all this time trying to help them and guide them and give them as much information as you can. And it's just so disheartening when they're just not ready, or they can't do it, or for whatever reason, they're just not able to grasp what they need to do to recover. And it's absolutely gut-wrenching, heartbreaking. It's, but you can't, but to Annie's point, you can't get too attached, because then you do, you know what I mean? You've got the other ones to worry about too. So
do you feel like you failed? Throwing it out there to you guys?
I used to feel like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? But you can't do that. You absolutely have to find a way to know that it's not about you,
So I'm going to throw out another question. I like this. I'm throwing out questions. I don't know. It's just like you have people who work in the field on the front lines in different facets. So I felt like, I'm a moderator, right? Because I'm not an addiction. I'm a media guy, right? And I see media as the way to really help bring awareness and shed light on this and really hammer it home on a frequent basis. So for those out there who continue to want to hear about it and have needs or struggling, then, hopefully our show can help. But my question is, what do you guys think about early intervention? How early is too early to educate kids? Go ahead, Chris.
We've had this conversation before. I think in middle school is the time that you open that conversation and you open those lines of communication with kids to understand, because if you don't think your kid's experimenting in 5th grade, you got blinders on. The more stories I hear of kids that, started dabbling is around 5th grade. That's when the huge change happens for kids, where they either fit in or they don't fit in. So, they're going to those parties, I guess you could say, that where there's older kids and they want to fit in, and before they know it, they're already in over their heads. So I think it's really important. And I don't think it's just with kids. I think it really needs to start with families. Like, I think we need to really encourage and involve families at that level of how to talk to your kids, how to know the symptoms or signs, because if somebody called, if the principal of my granddaughter, for example, at 5th grade called me today, and I had no whatever recollection, didn't have my past, and said, your granddaughter was at a party and in 5th grade and she drank and then she slept over, I'd be like, no, she didn't. Or I would be like, oh, okay, I'll talk to her, don't do that. And that would be the end of it, right? But we know now that that's not the end of it. That's only just the very beginning of it. So I think that families really need to be educated and encouraged to learn how to speak with their children and open that line of communication and have means of support for everybody involved.
Shannon?
Oh, I agree 100%, Chris. Absolutely. I think we should start speaking at as young as we can. And it doesn't have to be, hey, 2nd grader, don't shoot heroin. It's more like
Sesame Street, which we've talked about that before, Sesame Street, and it was
right.
like everybody had differing opinions on it.
So it's not, talking like that. It's talking more like, let's make healthy decisions and put healthy things in our bodies. And, we have to treat our bodies where we don't put chemicals in them. We have conversations more like that. We start that at a really young age, and we just keep making sure that we are open and honest with our kids. I mean, right now I have, my children are 18, 12, and 5. So
you don't have an 18-year-old, do you?
Yeah. Yep. I would tell him to come say hi, but he sleeps till about 2 p.m.
Of course, he's 18. Where's Devlin's floating around, though? He's wandering around the house. Go ahead.
My 5-year-old is somewhere. My 12-year-old is somewhere. But, we have these conversations about healthy decisions and not putting, stuff in your body and what exactly stuff is age appropriately. My 18-year-old, I can have a more candid conversation with and be more, don't use heroin. My 12-year-old is more like, don't take anything from strangers. And my 5-year-old is like, let's make healthy decisions.
In a case of peer pressure, though, one of the things that you've actually thrown out is some suggestions for a kid who's in a difficult situation. What was the advice that you gave?
So recently, too, I did a presentation at New Bedford High School in February, and I gave some of these out, and the kids came up to me later and they were like, thank you so much. That was a great idea. So, just with these kids in high school and teenagers, peer pressure is awful. They come, hey, you want this? Just trying to offer kids other suggestions than just no. Because no sometimes comes with, oh, come on. It comes with more. Kind of just want to end it. So maybe saying something like, listen, when I get home, my mom tests me. She pee tests me. And if I come up dirty, I can't go anywhere. Or my work does it. I can't lose my job. That's how I pay for my car. Just simple stuff like that, other than just no. Just to kind of like end the conversation. I can't do it. Bottom line,
I have to get home for dinner. My mom says I have to get home for dinner. That's one of your favorites, right?
I love that, or have that safe word with your child,
Right.
So they text, if I get, a word from somebody, I know that this means that I need to go, call the person and get them. Recently I was talking to a friend of mine and her word was cheeseburger with her son. So
there you go.
And he's now 22. So, they never really had to use it. Well, a couple of weeks ago, she got a text from her son at 1 a.m. that said, Mom, I need a cheeseburger. And her response was, get in your car and go get it yourself.
Right.
And then she realized, oh, that's the word. I have to do something.
Right.
So she got, she said, well, where can I get you this cheeseburger? And, she ended up,
that was the code word.
That was the code word. He was in a situation where he needed a ride and she went and got him.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. Kimberly?
No, that's a great story. I love the code word. That's something simple that they can do with their child that lets them know without shaming them, without making them feel bad. Love that.
From your standpoint with people, do you have any with people at Brady's Landing or the people that you've had, do you ever have any kind of kind of connection where if they're in, they need help or anything like that, do you have any kind of kind of connection with them?
Oh, they all know that I still get texts. They all know if they get into trouble, I'll help them out. I'll go get them wherever they are. It's kind of out there though, because I'm in recovery too. They don't feel as odd, like as if they would a parent. They feel a little bit more that it's relatable, that they can say, "Hey, you know what? Oops, I took a drink, but I want to come back. What's the deal?" And then we'll kind of go from there. So we don't really need a code word because we all know what's going on. But yeah, but definitely.
Chris?
I was thinking about that whole code word thing, and we used to always use those code words, and I don't know. That's a good reminder, because the code word, with stranger danger, it was, we had that kind of. I don't know. That's a good idea. Like maybe that should be the next campaign. Is like it's easy, it's simple, it's a code word, and it gets the conversation started.
I just feel that if I get this code word from my son, it means I'm going to call him and say, "Hey, there's been an emergency. I got to come get you. Where are you?" Your sister's in the emergency room or whatever. Take that pressure off him. Make him feel comfortable that he can do that. And I'm going to do all the work. He doesn't have to make up a story. He doesn't have to make up a lie. He just needs to send me a simple word, and I will call him and go get him and get him out of whatever situation he might be in. I don't care where he is, what he's doing. I just want to make sure that he gets home safe. So if he finds himself in a situation like we all have, where we don't feel safe and we're not sure what to do, he sends me this word. I will call him. I will text him, whatever. If anyone sees his phone, it's not going to look like he's calling mommy for help.
Right.
It's just going to look like he just texted a random word.
Shannon, I guess I have two questions unrelated. For Plymouth County, right? I don't know. We kind of touched on it, but Plymouth County is one of the biggest hotspots in the country for opioid addiction. Is that correct?
That we're right up there. We're right up there with all those other places in Pennsylvania. Yep.
Why do you think that is?
Ooh, I really don't know. I wish I could answer that question. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait.
Hi, Devlin.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Alcohol.
I think Plymouth is probably one of the hot spots because of how it is on either side of the bridge. Maybe, you're not just like me. Here's Foxboro. Here's Plymouth, and it's one side of the bridge and the other side of the bridge. And you're really, really, the county itself is very spread out. Like Ohio is a hot spot too, but it has its little areas in Ohio that are, was it Akron, Ohio?
Well, right Franklin County, Ohio is like the biggest hotspot in the country.
Yeah.
Or one of them. They actually had to have rent out refrigerator trucks for the morgue because they were having so many people.
That's so morbid.
I know, but it's the truth. I mean, the numbers are huge. Shannon, what are the numbers out there currently as far as people, and you guys can all answer, what are the current numbers of overdoses right now?
I don't know. I would have to look that up, Andy. I do not know the numbers right now. I do know that from our last presentation in late March, we were trending down from last year. So that's good. I think we're getting out there more and people are getting more help. We're also getting less fatalities. Not in this week. I can't speak for this week. It was a rough week for all. But, generally speaking, we were trending down.
Hey, Shannon, I got a question for you. What is your response when, and I love this, I love to banter with people when they say, medicated assisted treatment is, it's not recovery. They're not sober. What do you say to that?
Oh, I don't take that bait usually because it just gets me into these like Facebook troubles and
yes.
I say if you have high blood pressure, you take medicine. If you have, you have a, mental health and you have ADD, it's a brain chemistry. You take medicine. If you have whatever you have, you take medicine for it. I don't see that it's trading if it's done properly. Now there are people out there that are prescribing, months and months and months, and it's not done properly. There's no follow up. It's just here's your prescription. See you later. Is that proper care? No, I don't think so personally. If Suboxone and MAT and everything is done properly with counseling, and it's people are progressing in their recovery, and we're seeing markers of recovery like obtaining a job, getting your children back, who are we to say that it's wrong?
Okay, now
say that.
Okay, now the next step. So I have somebody who, hypothetically, I have somebody that I'm going to send down a clean slate, and they used last night, but they want to stop using. They don't need detox. They don't want to go to detox. What does it look like when somebody walks through the door? What is the process when somebody walks through the door? That was my
question. Yep.
So when somebody walks through our door, hopefully if they come into the office, I do everything in my power to see them if they don't have a scheduled appointment. My theory is we're going to strike while the iron's hot. If you took the chance to walk through this door and you took all that energy and you said, I'm going to do something today, and you walked through that door, we are going to do everything we can do to see you, because that means that you decided you wanted to make a change that day. And maybe in 5 minutes or 2 hours or the next day, you might have changed your mind. So we're going to try to see you. We're going to try to get you in with a provider. One of my nurse practitioners or physician's assistants will see you. They'll get some history on you. We'll get a urine screen. We do blood work to try to, we make sure, anything from Hep C to HIV. We want to make sure that your liver's okay. These drugs and medications really can take a toll on your liver. So we want to make sure your liver levels are good. And then we're going to start prescribing. If you've taken it before, then, we might just kind of give you a little tutorial on how to take the medication. There is a proper way to take it and a non-proper way to take it. And we just ask that, 24 hours, you don't use for 24 hours, and then you can start the Suboxone. Detox is not necessary. We do say 24 hours because you can go into precipitated withdrawal. Suboxone does have the naloxone component in it, which is Narcan. And if you do, you will send yourself into withdrawals.
Can you help people get into treatment as well? You will try to help somebody get a bed.
Absolutely. If somebody walked in and I don't feel, or my providers don't feel like MAT is good for them, maybe they need a higher level of care. Maybe they need detox. Maybe they need that 3 to 5 days, kind of out of environment. We will make sure I have enough connections in the community that I'll reach out to my community partners and I'll make sure I can obtain that person a bed and make sure they're in a safe place.
Kimberly, you're nodding.
No, that's great. No, my only question was what your population, what would you say the demographics are for your?
I would say mostly mid-20s to mid-30s, but we do have a lot of older population, an older alcoholic population, an older population using a lot of pills. And we do have a lot of younger. Recently, it's been a lot of younger. So we don't treat any younger than 18. But we are seeing that 19, 20 range.
That's crazy. Now, how do you all... So I know you work 24/7. Chris works 24/7. You all work 24/7. Kimberly, how do you guys... What do you do to decompress and kind of relax a little bit, or do you how do you cope with, because it's a heavy topic, right? This is a heavy subject. How do you all cope with it?
It's hard not to get stressed. It's you really have to center yourself. You have to remind yourself that you're doing a good thing, because let's face it, you lose more than make it. It's why I think the statistics 1 out of 6, and that's after 30 days of treatment. So, you look around the room, you're in a group situation and you go, one of them is going to make it. So you have to remind yourself that focus on that one too. You know what I mean? Make sure that they get everything that they need. You have to do things like meditation. You have to do yoga. I know it sounds cliche, but you really need to take care of yourself. A lot of self-care, a lot of introspection, and a lot of connecting with other people in the industry. That helps me too. When I can reach out and say, oh my God, I'm so frustrated, this, and people understand. That's, that helps tremendously.
Mr. Mill.
I mean, I can't agree more. Self-care, shopping.
Yeah, what'd you buy? You bought boots. You wanted boots, right? Didn't you want boots the last time I saw you?
I always want shoes. My theory is I've never looked fat in a pair of shoes. So, I mean, I
love that.
I love that. So I agree with Kimberly, a lot. I use a lot of people in the industry. I have a great support team where you can call and just kind of vent to anybody. Taking care of yourself, spending time with your family, remembering every now and then it's okay to shut off. It's okay to put that phone down and really just kind of dive into a movie with your kids or game night or your son climbing in the fridge. Definitely get out of the fridge, please. Thank you. This is the stuff we have to do, and we have to laugh and we have to have fun. Recently I did a quarantine picnic with some of my friends where we all sat in the back of our cars and we just laughed for like 2 hours. We stayed away from each other and we had a really good time, and I can't wait to do it again. You got to make sure that you have that human connection and you keep your tribe close to you.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of tend to, when I need to really, decompress, I tend to isolate and kind of like, go for that walk or dive into a movie, a mindless movie, or I don't know, or just get busy. I don't know, like this whole COVID thing has just really mentally messed me up. I've never before been unable to deal with my anxiety for whatever reason. So like learning how to recenter has really been, a challenge. Doing this, like, with the map, the work with the map is really good distraction. It's still working in the field, but it's a good distraction. But yeah, I mean, I miss all my colleagues too. I miss hanging out and grabbing a lunch and seeing the pictures of their children, because I'm a grandmother, so I'm old and frumpy. So it's nice to see them and all their babies and kids and like been there, done that stories.
Shannon, what do you say about to moms out there? Well, 2 questions. Mental health. How many, we always talk about treating the root of the addiction, which is mental health, right? Like in 9 I mean, you have the physical aspect of it, but I mean, do you spend time talking about mental health as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to. I mean, I agree with Chris. This COVID thing has really kind of messed with my mental health too. My anxiety's been out of control as well. And, I think we just really need to focus on everybody and know that we're all going to get through this together.
Yeah.
The mental health and the mom part of it is insane right now. I am also I am a teacher now.
You're
apparently.
like, by the way, you're like somebody we know said mental health. It's insane.
It is.
Remember?
It is. I mean, just trying to balance everything like as a mom through this is crazy. I'm homeschooling 3 children and working 40 hours a week going into the office. My husband is also a delivery driver, so he's not home either.
He's a machine. What's your hope for the future? Last question. What's everybody, curious to see what you're hoping for going forward.
I just hope that we can see a decline. We all work so hard, and I just hope one day we can see a decline. We're never going to see everything kind of go away. I'm not asking for a lot, just a decline and more treatment availability for people. We're struggling every day to try to help people, and longer treatment. People don't need 3 to 5 days. We need longer treatment for people.
Where can people get in touch with you?
They can reach me you can walk into the Clean Slate Center. I'm at 46 Obery Street in Plymouth. They can go on to cleanslatecenters.com and reach me there too. Or you can reach me via social media as well.
Will you come back on again?
Of course I will. This was a blast.
Okay, cool. And Kimberly, Chris, we got to boost up our Facebook page. We need people like us. Right?
Like us.
We're doing good work. Like us. Help us.
Shannon, thank you so much for coming on. It was wonderful to meet you and hear you.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime.
I want to come to the next picnic, please.
I will invite you. Look for your
Can we get t-shirts made?
We'll invite everybody.
Yeah.
Yay. That sounds like a great idea. We're going to do that. We should do it.
So much fun.
I think the PLA is going to do a Zoom meeting. So that'll be fun.
Oh my goodness.
Use code words that keep me out. What is a PLA?
The Professional Liaisons Association for
people like us.
People like us.
All right.
People in the industry. Yeah, exactly.
It's a fancy name for our friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Kimberly, is that it for us this week?
I think that is our show.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Our Facebook page.
Facebook page. We are at the map 2020.
No, not Facebook. It's just the map.
The map. No, it's actually just map.
Map. Yeah.
We don't even have the. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's what we got. And that's our show. We'll see you next Wednesday. Right?
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Shannon.
Have a good week. All right. We'll see you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.